What's going on, traders? Back at it this week. It's Monday. Pretty exciting move last night and this morning. A lot of people, seems like the sentiment, everybody's kind of getting excited that we finally, a little bit of energy to the upside. So I wanted to look at the cycles. We'll just talk about Bitcoin here. Um, Probably do an update for the paid room. Some of the altcoin stuff we bought. Mise go really well on the lows. The really nice cyclical move there. We had a couple other buys that we took a little bit of profit on. Um, you guys are aware of that for those that are on that team, the crypto team. But let's talk BTC. Now we had the longer term cycle that the reason why we've been talking about a bigger, a longer term, more sustainable run, looking more like July and August for several reasons. But you have an 8.6 monthly cycle that will play from the highs into July, August, September. That's represented here by this blue line. So 8.6 is a frequency, it's a derivative of pi that's very cyclical. That frequency shows up on the 5-minute charts to the yearly charts. So we like to pay attention to that. And then there's a couple other waves I've drawn on here. So the intermediate term wave, we saw a low in April with the top of the cycle. That's called cycle inversion. And then now we bottomed here May 30th, and we continued this intermediate term downtrend that's been in place after this turn. So I don't see a major directional change there until the end of July. But here's what's interesting. So this shorter wave here, this sine curve, we've been highlighting, has done a phenomenal job on a lot of these turns. It marked the high here, it marked the low, marked the high, marked a lower high here. We had another pivot with this high. Let me try to draw some of this. Second. So it's important to note some blue. So there's a turn, right? Here's a lower high with that cycle turn. Here's the low with this cycle turn. Here's another lower high with this cycle, another lower high with this cycle, another subsequent lower high here with this turning point. We had a major low again in April on that turning point. This was the only real turn that didn't offer a directional change with the benchmark, but then we did get another lower high here right at 10,000. We were all over that right in front of the 200, which is this purple line. And then we did have a small lower high here on the turning point and another one basically here on the benchmark, as well as another subsequent lower high here with this turn. So really ever since the early May turning point, we've had this intermediate term downtrend. You'll be able to see this shortly here in futures. I'll draw it. But there's a pivot right here that we need to get above to change this trend that's been in place since May. And it's going to be interesting to note when we reach this turning point, whether or not we've broken this trend. That will be a signal that you can rally into the end of July. So we either bounce here and we get another lower high with the cycle that's been in place. It's the same kind of rhythm. Or if we do change what we call the TMS and we get a new higher high, that's going to confirm a new intermediate term uptrend. And if that happens with this turning point, you can be more confident that we rally into this benchmark here. So if you want to take a look at those dates, all right, we're coming up on the cycle turn July 5th. And then what I was just showing, July 5th will be key. If we do rally to new highs, then we should expect a rally into the 21st. If we make a lower high with the cycle, then we should expect the low into July 20th, right? This is cyclical analysis. So that's kind of what I'm paying attention to. The faster cycles for the intermediate term, and then the longer term cycle is still looking like I don't really expect a major rally or any type of new higher highs in the daily and weekly time frame to move this whole market back to kind of a momentous, more energy bullish uptrend until probably after we get through the summer. Now that this covers time, so then let's take a look at price. That covers time. All right, this is the chart of Omisego I was talking about. I'm not going to talk about that right now. So here we have Bitcoin. And let's look at the trend. So here we can see this is the daily chart. Here's this intermediate term downtrend that I've been speaking of. It's 8 on here. All right. So here's the downtrend that's been in place. Um, so it's pretty subtle, but we've been talking about the big picture support has been around the 6,000 area. And again, I say it's an area, it's not a level. If you're level specific and you freak out because this intraday low from the 6 was taken out, and I know you can look at different exchanges, it'll show different intraday violations. But point being, if you freak out just because you have a intraday violation of this low, anybody that's caught shorting new lows here is caught in the hole short. So we treat these as areas, not as one specific level. So we've been buying. We went to pretty much 90% cash on the cash side of our portfolio, and then we actually been taking out leverage and getting long futures also. So very aggressive stance from us down here at 5,000, 6,000. This has been our long-term buy zone. That's been our call. All right, and then, but this is the intermediate term trend. So the longer term trend is still intact. If you look at a monthly chart or a weekly chart, that's the long-term bull market. The intermediate term is doing this still. So although we've had a nice kind of move off of 6,000, this is the pivot that matters here, and then how we react to the bands also. You actually have in that same locations of the bands, you have this resistance. So let's actually take a look at it a little bit closer on the 4-hour. All right, so we're coming into this green line is what we call our pi cycle, the pi line. And you can really see this a little bit easier in futures. But notice the structure when we use our wave formation, we use the bands. You can see this pretty clearly, nothing but lower highs, right? Lower high, lower high. You broke the uptrend here. These were the higher lows that were in place, and that broke down. Started to break down there. Once we took this low out, it was definitely lower lows. You can see how the bands all started to roll over. So that's a pretty easy visual that the market moved into an intermediate term downtrend right in this area. Right? Lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and lower lows. So this is how we define trends when you learn to properly view the market. Now my traders know something else here. I'm not going to get into it. It's not really fair to them that sign up for coaching and study the model. But this is what we call a phase 2 in the bottoming process, and my traders know why that's important. So bottoming is about a process. It's not one particular point. So people that want to say, oh, the market's going to drop to 5,500 and then I expect a low. I mean, that's just naive. That's just a lot of storytelling. That's not helpful. How you work a position is working around an area. But this is a phase 2 double bottom. It's the second part of the process that we pay attention to, and there's ways to look at that technically. But now on the upside, what I care about is this 6750 area in cash. And then I also talked about this area up here. It's kind of in line with the pi cycle. So you need to get price back in what we call the northern hemisphere, which is above pi. And that'll kind of, then we'll be in a new intermediate term bull trend. So first it's getting above here, and then definitely will be bullish longer term if we can get above this high. But I do like how we're above the bands. We settled in. These are two nice candles right here. We call these real money candles in the model. Those should produce follow through. So the way we're playing it is we were buying in here. Took some profit here and here on the stuff that we bought well. And then I'll probably offer, put some offers out right in front of the 200, right in front of this big level. And I'm going to stay core long and try to ride this. And then what we're going to do is add and reduce. So if I take some profit up here, we get the pullback, I buy back in. The market rallies, we take some off, I get the pullback, we buy back in. And so we'll work this position on the way up. All right, pretty simple game plan. Hope that guys help. Hope that's helpful, guys. And don't forget to smash the like button. I never tell people to do that, but subscribe to the channel. That obviously helps us, and then you can stay up to speed on what we're doing, the market calls, what kind of live events we have coming up, webinars. We're trading Forex, of course. We're pretty much trading anything that moves. So give us a follow. We'll see you guys in the next video.